For over 25 years, she kept his secrets. She protected his image. She stayed silent even when he tried to destroy her next relationship. But when Michael Tait confessed to living a double life this past June, Jamie Zazworsky-Openkar realized she never knew the man she almost married at all. And friends, what she's revealing today will shake you to your core. Stay with me, because this isn't just a story about heartbreak. It's about how an entire Christian culture enabled a man's deception. Let me take you back to 1993, Mount Union, Pennsylvania. The Creation Festival is the biggest Christian music event of the year. A 17-year-old high school student named Jamie gets a press pass. Amy Grant is there, Stephen Curtis Chapman, the Newsboys, and DC Talk. Now, Jamie actually thought DC Talk was a bit of a joke at first. They were trying to be like Will Smith, you know? But here's where life changed. She got a front row seat, talked to their merch coordinator after the show, and walked away with something unexpected, a job offer. At just 17 years old, Jamie became the merch girl for DC Talk. This opened doors to the entire Christian music industry. Audio Adrenaline, Jars of Clay, the Newsboys. She was inside the inner circle of the biggest names in Christian music. And there were rules, friends, boundaries. She couldn't be on the tour bus with guys, no drinking, no sex. She was a serious Christ follower trying to navigate this glamorous world. And that's where she met Michael Tait. But here's what you need to understand. She didn't fall for him right away. Actually, she connected more with Kevin Max at first. Michael was funny, sure, but in that old dad kind of way. She didn't get really close to him until she moved to Nashville in 1996 at age 20, leaving college early for a marketing job. That's when everything changed. Picture this. You're 20 years old. You've just moved to Nashville, the heart of Christian music. And one of the biggest stars in the industry, a man a decade older than you, invites you to hang out with his friends. He just became one of my best friends, Jamie told the Roy's report. Instantly, we just had so much fun. They'd go to this 70s-themed nightclub called the Have a Nice Day Cafe. They'd drink fish bowls of alcohol that tasted like Kool-Aid. And friends, here's where I need you to pay attention, because Jamie said something profound. Him drinking definitely made me feel like it was probably not as bad as I had grown up thinking it was, because why would this man do it if it wasn't? Think about that. A young Christian woman watching her hero, her friend, her eventual boyfriend, normalize behaviors she'd been taught to avoid. This is the power of influence. This is what happens when we put people on pedestals. It was just a free-for-all, she said. Everybody just drank without even thinking about it. And Tait? He was always the ringleader. They'd drink, dance at clubs. And that's when the kissing started. But here's where it gets strange, really strange. Tait would also kiss his guy friends. Jamie didn't know what to make of it. She'd ask him about it constantly. His response? Wouldn't you and your female friend kiss? She and her friends were shocked. No, we absolutely would never do that. This is the 90s. But then, one day everything shifted. Tait called her and said, "Wouldn't it be freaking awesome if you were the one that God has for me?" By July 1997, they were dating. Sometimes he'd call her his girlfriend in public. It was her dream come true. This was DC Talk at the height of their fame. They'd just completed a 60-city Jesus Freak tour, just partnered with Virgin Records in a landmark mainstream deal. But friends, let me tell you about the red flags that were already there. Looking back, Jamie can see what she couldn't see then. Tait was flaky, selective about when he'd call her his girlfriend. Some days he'd hold her hand, sing to her, kiss her. Other days, they were just friends. Only a few people knew they were actually dating. Their relationship was never sensual. It was built on deep emotional connection and promises. Promises of marriage, promises of children, hours spent talking about their future together. He felt like he was made for me, Jamie said. He really made me believe that I was someone he wanted to be with his whole life. But by early 1998, major cracks appeared. Tait started canceling on her, even on double dates at the last minute, so he could hang out with other friends at bars. Her questions about his behavior with men were creating a rift. And then, February 23rd, 1998. Tait's father died suddenly. I remember one of our last phone conversations, Jamie said. He said, I got a call, and at the beginning of the call, my dad was alive, and by the end of the call, he was gone. Friends, what happened next is heartbreaking. Tait completely ghosted her. No calls, no texts, nothing. Jamie reached out to Tait's best friend, Chad Chapin. He said Tait wasn't talking to him either and told her to keep trying. She never heard back. It felt like a breakup, she said. Her roommate at the time, who was also a longtime friend of Tait, watched her fall apart. She used to come home and say stuff like, one day we're going to get married, or I'm going to have his kids, he told the Roy's report. I believe she was truly in love with him. But here's what makes this even worse. When Jamie started dating someone new, Tait invited him out for drinks to sabotage the relationship. Michael says that you're crazy and that I shouldn't believe what you say, her new boyfriend told her. Can you imagine? After everything, after ghosting her, after breaking her heart, he tried to destroy her next chance at happiness. I've kept so many of his secrets, Jamie said. I've done so many things for this guy. I've kept my mouth shut and walked away happily, and then you're going to take a person who wants to marry me and put doubts in their mind? For years, Jamie lived in Nashville. She'd see Tait at industry events, at church. She tried to avoid him, even shopped in different neighborhoods. But he'd still find ways to make personal comments, to blur boundaries. In 2001, at church, Michael commented on another couple about him and Jamie having biracial children like them. She eventually stopped going to church altogether just to avoid him. Another time, he told a female acquaintance she'd be a great wife, right in front of Jamie. That's when it hit her. In that moment, I could see how it was so frivolous to him to throw those words around. If I hadn't already known for sure, there was no doubt anymore that it was all talk, pretend, fantasy, lies, but nothing real. Friends, Jamie went through all the stages. First, she felt like a woman scorned. Then she blamed herself, feeling like a naive, dumb girl who should have known better. After EMDR therapy, she even felt pity for him. She wrote him an apology letter in 2002, saying she was sorry he couldn't be his true self. She gathered all her DC Talk merchandise, photos, and letters, and burned them. She moved on. She married someone else. The sting faded. But then, June 4th, 2024, the Roy's report published allegations that Michael Tait had allegedly raped Jason Jones in 1998, the same year his father died, the same year he ghosted Jamie. Another alleged victim, Randall Crawford, said Tait forced himself on him in 2000. According to Crawford, after his father's death, Tait went on a rampage of substance abuse and XXX conquests, visiting gay bars and kissing men for shock value. On June 10th, just days after the report, Tait confessed on Instagram to living a double life, referencing the unwanted touching of men. Jamie was shocked. Not because she didn't know something was wrong, she'd seen the kissing, the strange behavior, but she'd never seen him SA anyone. He'd hidden that from almost everyone. Now she wonders, was I just a cover for the life he wasn't allowed to live? Did I ever know Michael Tait at all? And here's what breaks my heart, friends. Jamie recently told the Roy's report. Sporadically, I've read interviews over the years where he continuously mentioned a girl that he could see being the one God has for him. But every article was a different girl. I realized that meant this is a cycle and that other females had experienced the same pain and loss that he caused me. There were others. There are always others. So what do we do with this information, friends? First, we stop putting people on pedestals. Michael Tait was at the height of Christian music fame. He was trusted. He was celebrated. And behind closed doors, according to these allegations and Jamie's testimony, he was living a completely different life. Second, we believe survivors. Jamie kept his secrets for over 25 years. She stayed silent. She even blamed herself. That's what trauma does. That's what manipulation does. Third, we demand accountability in Christian spaces. This isn't just about one man. This is about a culture that protected him, that allowed him to continue, that gave him platform after platform, even when people around him knew something wasn't right. Jamie's story matters because it shows us the human cost of our silence. She loved this man. She planned a future with him. And he discarded her, manipulated her, and tried to destroy her credibility when she moved on. If you're watching this and you've been hurt by a Christian leader, by someone you trusted, by someone who used God's name to manipulate you, I want you to know, it's not your fault. You're not crazy. You're not alone. And if you're in a position of leadership in Christian spaces, I'm asking you today, what are you doing to create real accountability? What safeguards exist? Who's checking on the people with power? Here's what I want you to do right now. First, if this story resonated with you, share it, not for clicks, but because someone in your life needs to hear that they're not alone. Second, leave a comment below. How can we create safer spaces in Christian communities? What needs to change? Third, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm committed to covering these stories, the ones that make us uncomfortable, the ones that challenge our heroes, the ones that demand we do better. Because, friends, if we don't talk about this, who will? Jamie Zazworski. Open Car found the courage to speak up after 25 years. The least we can do is listen. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay vigilant, stay compassionate, and never stop asking questions.